Should be live now. Let me check. Okay, you're live.
All right, well, here we are, everybody. We are live, and welcome everyone to our July 7th, 2024 edition of Open Mic America. I'm Rich Fassler, your MC for tonight's show, and I'm joined by Mike Simpson, our interviewer, and Ron Smith, tonight's show engineer. Our mission here at OMA is to support your local open mics, where you can go in person to see songwriters performing their original music. Tonight, thanks to Zoom technology, we can travel all around the country and see those same performers in their own homes. Without gimmicks, without frills, this is the beating heart of American music, the tapestry of song and story that has been weaving us together for generations. So, get comfortable, and I'm going to introduce tonight's performers. And hey, by the way, you can find links to their work on our website and on this YouTube video. So, tonight's show features Glenn Merel from Monroe, North Carolina, Dave Fiebert, Wallingford, Pennsylvania, Jason Baker, Montpelier, Vermont, Steve Andersen on the lovely island of Alameda in California, Mike Simpson, Saratoga, California, Rebecca Parks in Hayward, California, Mike and Nell coming to us from Nashville, Tennessee, and Jennifer McQuade from Auburn, Maine. So our first performer, Glenn Merel, is from Monroe, North Carolina. Glenn performs with his band, Dose of Ocean, at Peddler's Paradise in Monroe, North Carolina this Friday at the Treehouse Vineyards. The Saturday, he'll be at the Treehouse Vineyards in Monroe, North Carolina. And also, you can catch him at his open mic, homebrew open mic, also in Monroe. So Glenn, take it away.
Thank you. This first song is called It's Our Pontiac. It's a little story about actually the Pontiac factory closing. So this is a story about some of the employees there. Detroit's a beautiful city. Hell with anyone says. I went to work that morning, as I always have. I put the seats in Pontiacs the past 20 years. I raised me a fine family, drank a couple of beers. One day the big boss came in, said the plant's gonna close. Pontiac is shutting down as General Motors did with Olds. Old Al cried, he's raising a grandson, but Mama died. Sally Ann cried too, she's on her own, husband left her dry. It's our Pontiac, party lasted 83 years. It's our Pontiac, an American affair. American affair. Had a 70 Ventura, loved the Bonneville, Le Mans Trans Am and GTO. These are classics still. Seen a 67 Fiebert, costs as much as your house. Catalina, Chieftain, and Trans Am, going down the 66 route. It's our Pontiac, never disappear. It's our Pontiac, red arrowhead, ancient tears. Etched in tears. Etched in tears. Etched in tears. This is a capo tune. I don't need the capo on for this next one. This is a song off my first album, and it's about the Korean War. My dad was a Korean War vet in 1952. So this one's called Korea. It's for all the vets. So. We're on Hill 174, September 1950. Item Company, U.S. Army, 5th Cavalry. Enemy concentrations on Hill 203. Gunfire is heavy, no one hears my scream. Here's my scream. My buddy Dave is in the 1st Marines. Native standard chosen, Chinese waves coming in. His gun it jammed, he used his rifle but he took bayonet thrusts in the leg and the gut. They call it a police action, don't feel like a cop. Fighting for Korea, oh when will it stop? It's 20 below zero, streams of refugees flee. At least they've got some shoes on our feet. On their feet. On their feet. British 29th is holding the line. South Korean troops fled those cowardly lines. For 60 hours, the Brits held the line. They were mauled by Chinese. Union Jack fell this time. Fell this time. It's the 21st century. Again. Those NKs are nuts, dear leader, whatever Kim. His people are suffering, can he see through the din? Let your people go free, then you will truly win. They call it police action, don't feel like a cop. Fighting for Korea, when will it stop? It's 20 below zero, streams of refugees flee. At least we've got some shoes on our feet. On our feet. On our feet. On our feet.
Great tune. All right, Glenn, thank you very much. I'm going to pass you over to Mike now, and he's going to ask some questions and find out a little bit more about you.
Yes, hello, Mike. Good to see
Hey, how you doing, Glenn?
Good to see everybody.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Happy 4th of July, everyone. So,
So let's start right off with something that you've just made obvious. The review that I read said he's got a passionate style with a lot of emotion in his voice and guitar playing, so he's exciting to watch, and that certainly is true. Um, when you're writing,
mhm.
how does your pretty steady choice, at least in my experience, of using a 12 string and your tech, how does that support the element of passion in the song
um,
during
well,
the writing?
well, for me, I've done 12 strings since the 80s for solo stuff at least, because I think it gives you more muscle and, more tones and things like that. But, it's not the do all end all. There's limitations with it, with doing solos and things like that. But I think it's important. You get a different perspective on things when you're playing the 12 strings. So I recommend everyone try it.
Okay. And how do you vary from song to song? What are you doing? What are you doing guitar technique wise so that every song doesn't sound the same on a 12 string? Because that is one of the things
Yeah.
that people occasionally say about it, right?
Yeah, so that's true. I mean, a lot of things I'll try to like finger pick. I did a lot of classical guitar early
Uh
on.
huh.
And I try to work that into the 12 string, but other things too, I'll just do power chords and just
Right. I really
belt it
liked.
out. Kind of like Korea, some of those parts. And
Yeah, right. I really liked the cross picking work you were doing there in
yeah,
Korea.
so that's what I try to do with it.
All right. So, how's things going with the writing? What's where are you in terms of next album and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I think I have enough for next album, so it would be my fourth. I just haven't had a chance to record yet. I kind of joined or started a cover band, and we're kind of busy with doing that. We do a couple originals in there, but it's mostly covers that the places want. So I've been busy with that. I haven't really wrote in a while, so I need to.
Okay, I was going to ask you how playing in the cover band affects the songwriting.
Yeah,
It does not help apparently.
yeah, no, it's put the 12 string down, and it's the Gibson 335 now. So,
Okay,
but
it's
I'll
an
get back to it.
electric guitar for those who aren't
Yes,
guitar
mostly
geeks like us.
electric.
Yeah. All right. Well, Glenn, I always enjoy hearing the way you hit your songs running and get them out there. I like hearing the Korea song "Forgotten War." The
Yeah,
Fifth
yeah,
Cav's kind of a forgotten
Alameda.
unit
Really
too.
works.
Yeah. So great stuff. Glad to see you here. Hope to see you again soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I look forward to hearing everyone this evening.
Yeah. All right. Back to you, boss.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Glenn. All right, we are now moving to Wallingford, Pennsylvania. That's right. And we are going to hear Dave Fiebert. Dave performs, and I hope I say these names correctly, Galuccio's in Wilmington, Delaware, and also the Epic Double Decker Pizza in, I believe, Media, Pennsylvania.
Got that
So,
right.
Dave, take it away.
Thank you. Glad to be back tonight. I'm going to try two songs that are real brand new, so I'll see how they stretch out tonight. This one's called Jimmy Jammy John. Jimmy Jammy John could tie one on, see him most every day. Happy to be among his pals, who'd be the same way. But Thursday nights of every week, with those friends, he'd be sitting in a seat at the church basement, just across the street. 12 steps he'd promised to keep, 12 steps that he'd repeat, 12 steps he'd stand on, 12 steps for Jimmy Jammy John. Meeting done, back on the road, spotting lights from the bar. He knew he shouldn't be a-going in, but that's where his pals are. Under a seat, a Bible, opened a chapter and verse. Placed his hand on the good book, then into the bar for his first. 12 steps he'd promised to keep, 12 steps he'd repeat, 12 steps that he'd stand on, 12 steps for Jimmy Jammy John. His sinning is a winning and losing is a boozing. He was the master of both. With the devil down, cooking in the kitchen, hot trouble with a side of toast. Pals at the church, pals at the bar, same old pals, never too far for the man who could tie one on. That's the story of Jimmy John.
Great lyrics.
Thank you.
Great lyrics.
Very kind indeed. All right, I'm gonna switch guitars on this one. This is in a different tuning. Let me get it queued up here. This one's called Sum of the Parts, spelled S-U-M. Some parts rattle, some parts shake. Some parts abstain, others partake. The missing parts, they keep me awake. Some last forever, some parts break. Some are bona fide, others fake. Some get delivered by mistake. Some parts are mine, others on loan. I'm the sum of the parts, right down to the bone. I'm the sum of the parts, right down to the bone. Some parts prod, and others poke. Some have been known to go up in smoke. Some restrain, others provoke. My feet take me out for a run. These parts of me, all one sum, are tried and true, and all homespun. Some parts are mine, others on loan. I'm the sum of the parts, right down to the bone. I'm the sum of the parts, right down to the bone.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, let me pass you on now to Mike Simpson, and we'll get to know a little bit more about you and your music.
Thanks.
Hey there, Dave Fiebert.
Hello there, Mike.
So that second guitar that you were playing, it sounded a little bit like it had a dishpan in it, but that's not a resonator, right?
No, it is not. That's just a plain old lower end Taylor.
All right, well. got some good sound out of that thing there.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, lower end don't necessarily make any difference on guitars.
No.
Anyway, so I think you all know that I look up your stuff online and I do research on all of the people, and so that's why I can say that you're the first of at least two on our show tonight that has an obvious theatrical bent to what you do. You do a lot of work on the boards and that kind of thing. And I'm curious, when we're coming, and I always ask these questions in regards songwriting and how you write, right?
Sure.
But beyond what your first song showed us, that you obviously have a good character depiction skills. I mean, you can really draw out the character and make them live. But how do theater and songwriting interact for you?
Well, to me, it's basically storytelling. It's just a different form of storytelling. So, when you're playing a character in a stage play, which I've done plenty of, you just try to fill out those shoes and get into those costumes and the beard and the hair, whatever it is, and the glasses. And then in terms of music, you just use for me, I try to use my imagination in some sort of prompt and then see if I can fill out a character and a situation. And, this one I've been struggling with, but I came up with, my wife always says, we got to Jimmy Jammy this thing. So I came up with, well, Jimmy Jammy John could tie one on. So I said, well, that's a start.
There's a hook.
So that was a hook. And, so it's just basically storytelling in another form. And then becoming a character. When I sing a song, I try to intone that character a little bit. So it's
All right,
varies
yeah.
my style here and there.
That anticipates what I was going to say next. Yeah, how similar is the performance? The songwriting prepares you for the performance, but it's like doing a solo show, where it's just you playing Abraham Lincoln or whatever.
Yeah. So some songs will have more twang, and some songs will have a little less, and it's just that's what we musicians do. We kind of make it up as we go and see what works.
And how about influences? Who is? I take it this is not your first rodeo in songwriting. You've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a while. I've told the story before on this show that I've got a writing partner out of Princeton, one of my college buddies, and his name is Walter Hake. So he helped with the second piece. So Bob Dylan obviously is a huge influence. So that's kind of like If Dogs Run Free. It's sort of my riff on that kind of, that kind of take. So it's not that original, but it's, I like the difference of the tones. Like one's positive, one's negative, one's up, one's down. So I like that in that lyric a lot. So and I came with that. I'm the sum of the parts, right down to the bone. I thought, well, that's got some resonance to it. So started to fall together.
Yeah, very nice. Well, I'm always glad to hear you. Are you ever going to drag your songwriting partner on here?
I'll try to do that. He's not a singer. I mean, he can barely hold a note. He's a percussionist and a drummer and a fine writer, and he knows his music. But getting him on this show would be a real challenge.
Right.
But I'll see what I can do.
Well, I wish you luck with it, and it sounds like it would be a real challenge if he doesn't perform.
All right. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Yes, David, thank you for coming, and we hope to see you again soon. And I will now pass it all back to Rich.
All right. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Dave. So we are now heading up north. We are going to Montpelier, Vermont, to listen to Jason Baker. And Jason's going to be performing on Friday, July 19th at the DAR. I'm sure that stands for Daughters of the American Revolution State Park in Andersen, Vermont. And it's going to start about 6 p.m. You can also hear him at EJ Unplugged Open Mic on the second and fourth Wednesday of the month at 7 to 9 p.m. at the Nest in Essex Junction, Vermont. So, Jason, you're on.
Well, thank you, Rich. Oh, right. This is where I have to get my giant face off the screen. There we go. Been an awesome night so far of great music. Oh, just in case you're wondering, I'm playing a long neck banjo here. In case you're wondering what that odd sound is, and please don't be frightened. I know Mike's concerned for everyone. So, but it is actually the long neck banjo was invented by Pete Seeger, so that kind of might make it seem more friendly. See, it's really long. So, I'm going to be doing a couple of original songs that I just released in April from my album, my EP, Shut Down the System. This one is called What Would the Prophets Say? What would the prophets say to see you kill young women in their name? To see you killing children just the same? Would they feel betrayed and ashamed to see all of their visions in flames? What would the prophets say? What would the prophets see when they gaze upon your destiny? Will they tell you what is going to be the consequences of your blasphemy? What would the prophets say to see you kill young women in their name? To see you killing children just the same? Would they feel betrayed and ashamed to see all of their visions in flames? What would the prophets say? What would the prophets see when they gaze upon your destiny? Will they tell you what is going to be the consequences of your blasphemy? What would the prophets do about Christians and Muslims and Jews doing what God told them not to do? What would they do with you? What would the prophets say to see you kill young women in their name? To see you killing children just the same? Would they feel betrayed and ashamed to see all of their visions in flames? What would the prophets, what would the prophets, what would the prophets say?
Yeah.
Awesome song.
Indeed.
Thank you very much. So that's on my new EP, Shut Down the System. That's actually the first original composition that I've made on after learning the banjo. The lyrics are inspired by, obviously, a variety of events in the Middle East. I'm changing the tuning of this banjo from old-time drop C to a standard, what you call bluegrass or whatever, open tuning. And so it's time to make the obligatory banjo tuning jokes, which is, how many banjo players does it take to tune a banjo? No one knows. It's never been done. And then banjo players, of course, because of the unique properties of the banjo, spend half their life tuning to the banjo and the other half playing out of tune. So, all right, this seems to be almost in tune. It's a miracle. Anyway, this is another song from my EP. It's called You'll Never Leave Texas Alive. It's as it sounds like, it's a murder ballad of sorts. Annie from Texas was pregnant but sick. Her doctor said you best go and go quick. Better go quick if you want to survive, or you'll never leave Texas alive. You'll never leave Texas alive. Her husband Mike asked where they could go, and the doctor referred them to New Mexico. Mike said to Annie, get in and I'll drive, or you'll never leave Texas alive. You'll never leave Texas alive. An 8-hour drive through the desert and heat, with Annie shivering in the backseat. Annie was gone by the time they arrived. She never left Texas alive. No, she never left Texas alive. Annie was gone.
Wow. Yeah.
Great to see you, Jason.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jason, let me pass you on now to Mike so we can learn a little bit more about you and those songs.
Hey, Mike.
Hey. So the review I found of you online was by someone that I know faintly and trust his calls. Marty Memphis Delia, who does that, what is it called, Blues and Roots, I think, music blog, yeah, says of Jason Baker, the songs are poetic and sometimes poignant, but Jason does have his tongue in cheek mostly, and keeps the mood buoyant and positive while delivering a few messages along the way. So another famous banjo quote is, of course, that it is impossible to play a sad song on the banjo. But I think you just demonstrated that quote is incorrect. Particularly with the second song. What I want to know is, obviously you use the tunings to do it, the mountain minors or whatever that you're doing in the tunings. What else do you do as a songwriter instrumentalist to get the right mood out of a banjo, which admittedly can have, in many people's hands, a very steady sort of stentorian little ring that it does and not much else? What do you do to get that other stuff?
So how do I adapt the banjo to, right? So my whole goal with learning the banjo was to incorporate it in my own songwriting and music. But I obviously, along the way, it needed to learn a bunch about the tradition. And in the tradition, so the tradition I learned, I learned the long neck banjo, which is specifically a banjo invented by Pete Seeger in 1943, via a grant from Vermont Folklife, which allowed me to engage Rick Polari, who lives in Hinesburg, Vermont, who learned the long neck banjo. He's a Clearwater singer for many years, and so he learned at Pete's, right next to Pete, essentially, since he was like 19 years old. And so he taught me the Pete Seeger style. And one of the most important parts of the Pete Seeger style is that Pete would use any banjo technique that was necessary to convey the song, and he would do so, and sometimes he would do all of the techniques, and sometimes all in one song. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but he would liberally use any old-time style, frailing, up-picking, double thumbing, even bluegrass style, and then what he just called whamming, which is just just hitting the thing, to get, and he would use and part of the technique is also when he would hold it up like that, it would be like a wand to tell people the same, but it was also to hold it away from his body to allow the banjo to give a different tone. There was little techniques and all sorts of those. You add them all up, and you can actually achieve a lot of different feelings. Again, with the versatility of the long neck being, you can change keys, you can change tunings. So he used any tuning, any right hand style, and I think that was the key for me to incorporating it correctly in my style. I do have a penchant for turning even ukuleles into a spooky instrument. It's just a thing that my friends make fun of me for. They're like, you win the spooky ukulele award when I play them a song once. So same thing with the banjo. I just really love minor keys, and that sort of thing. So I think there is this old thing. It's like you can be playing the saddest song on the banjo and people will still be like, yeah,
Yeah.
But I do believe that you can actually convey a lot of emotion. The other thing is I don't necessarily know that all my songs will fit on the banjo. I've adapted quite a lot of my originals to be on the banjo and then wrote a lot more. I'm going to be writing on the banjo a lot. But if a song needs a guitar, that's what it needs. I think I'm going to be recording a song I wrote with the 12-string on it, which, God help me with the tuning, but I'm not, as if hadn't had enough problems.
They
with
make
the
these
banjo,
little
right?
boxes that clamp onto the top now that
They
are
don't
a great
help
aid.
that much. It's a
They
banjo.
do help more on a 12-string, I think, than on anything else.
Right, that's
been my
true.
experience.
Saves a lot of time, right? They're wonderful. Thank goodness we live in such an age of modern technology.
That's right.
Boy.
And
we can
flush
have
toilets too. I mean, you're playing a
What would we
banjo
do?
and you use a flush toilet. That's somehow just not right.
Just don't do
Anyway.
it at the same time, for heaven's
No,
sake.
never that. Of course, yes. So
Don't take your banjo to the outhouse.
Just a little bit from the flip side. How do you find that the possibilities on the banjo actually inspire your songwriting? How do they move that along?
Well, the first song I played there was the first sort of composition that popped out while I was learning. So that was learning while I was learning, and this was when I was learning in the drop C old time tuning, which is required like if you follow the Pete Seeger book, that's where you start.
Right.
Although he said he later regretted it, whatever, but that's where you start. And so because if I hadn't been learning that, I wouldn't, and trying to get some facility with it, and then suddenly being like, hey, you can play minor here. And I kind of discovered that on my own, and I played it for Rick, and he's like, brilliant. That's what you need to do. Keep exploring and just messing with it. And he really liked the song, and it was his suggestion, for example, to extend the chorus so that the second part is repeated. Like, so there's, so it was part and parcel of learning it, I think, was and I think for me, it's just a matter of, I think because it's just so, you have the drone string, so you have to kind of deal with it.
Right.
So you have to it does make you think about your chord choices quite a bit and how your voicings a lot more carefully. The banjo has a lot, especially with the long neck and all the different key choices you can have, but with a capo, you've got so many voicings that you can do.
Right.
And so that's the exploration that's the fun part, and that's where you get like, oh, I never thought about that riff, that little
Right.
thing. You do it something
Very
different.
good. That's good. So can you briefly explain to people? A regular banjo has that little extra tuner. He'll point at the little extra tuner for the highest pitch string. That thing is usually set at the 5th fret on a regular banjo, but on this banjo it is
At the 7th fret. Although I have right behind me there, if you look in that case right there, there's an old German one that has it at the 5th because it was a hybrid. It was a prototype made in 1958 by the Hoyer and Framus companies. But so you'll find them with different. What Pete did was he took his regular banjo, and they were trying to record some songs about the Spanish Civil War, and it was Viva la Kunstbrigada was the song. He couldn't sing it in C minor, in the C minor. So he wanted to, if I could just get any capoed up, but it didn't work because it lost the bass. So he took his Vega White Lady to his local luthier, which in the East Village was John D'Angelico.
yeah.
And he had him cut the head off and add two frets originally, and that got stolen a few years ago. So somewhere out there is like a really like the most rare banjo ever. But and then later added 3 when he had it replaced. But that is how it really became, specifically to try and be able to have the versatility to play in all kinds
Right.
of tunings.
To those who may not know, John D'Angelico is one of the greatest jazz guitar makers of all time. And that's, poor Pete, he had to suffer with a luthier that was only like maybe the best in the world.
He said it took the story goes, it took some convincing to convince John D'Angelico to do it.
I would imagine so, yes.
And he insisted on doweling the thing and everything because Pete was just like, stick a piece of wood in there. And like John's like, no. So it was fun. It's a fun story, but it does give us this amazing instrument that's great for folk music, and it's been inspiring to me, I can tell you.
Yeah, and we've just had a real great demonstration. You know, I must say I'm eager to hear you come back so I can hear you what you've written on Beyond Zebra from your first song, and it'll be great.
Oh, yes, we've got more coming up. Yes, I've got all kinds of things in the works, so thank you.
Well, thank you for coming, and like I say, hope to see you again soon, and I'm going to flip it back over to Rich.
See you again soon, too.
All right, thanks, guys. Now we know everything we wanted to know about banjos and then some. So we are now going to go out to California for a whole string of California performers. But the first one is Steve Andersen, who lives on the lovely island of Alameda in the Bay Area. And you can see Steve at his favorite local open mics like Gilman Brewing Company in Berkeley and the Yet Wah in San Rafael. So Steve, take it away.
Okay. All right. Go away. The thing that tells me to unmute myself doesn't go away when I unmute myself. It needs training. So, so I'm playing Hurt. I introduced my finger to the meat slicer a couple days ago, and fortunately it was on a very thin setting. So I have only a very thin injury, and I'm still able to play the guitar. Although, if you notice me wincing a little bit as I go along, that's the reason. So I have a couple of songs that I'm relatively certain I haven't played here before, and I'll begin with one about two people who are imaginarily in love with one another, but they don't know each other. They don't know anything about each other. And this is from the perspective of one of them. I don't know how to describe this song, but hopefully you'll sort it out as I play it. Don't know who you are, I don't even know your name. I don't know why you're in my mind or how it was you came. I'm always thinking of you, you're a dream that I can't replace. Recognize you anywhere, but I've never seen your face, and I miss you. I'm always searching for you, though I don't know where to look. I feel like I should call you, but you're not in the book. I know you're waiting for me, but I've no idea where. I hope you've not lost sight of just how very much I care, and I miss you. Loneliness and fantasies occupy my mind, dreaming of a happiness that I might never find. It's good to have an option when the real thing isn't there. Reality can't always provide a way to care. Time has been a burden, both of us it seems. The love we share between us is captive of our dreams. The search has been exhaustive, a journey oh so long. We need to find each other before we fade into a song, and I miss you.
Very nice. Very nice, Steve.
Yeah, good stuff, Steve.
How many of you have ever drunk real moonshine? I can't see the hand, so it's just a question. I had a chance to do that, and then as a result of my travels over the years, I've actually met some people who are involved in making it, and for some reason and I can't point to anything exact, but for some reason I thought I should write a song about that, and this is what I came up with. I got whiskey in a jar, $20 in the bank, 39 Ford, just filled up the tank. The still is working fine, the product's hidden well. I'm headed down the road to see what I can sell. Sheriff's gonna chase me, ain't no cause to be afraid. Says he's gonna bust me, but he'll settle for a trade. Mountain country living is a world beyond compare. Life ain't always easy, but the joy outweighs the care. Family's doing well. Young Josh was raising hell. Thinks he's got a secret. Ellie Mae's begun to swell. Now her daddy's on the doorstep. The shotgun's just for show. He knows we'll take her in. No chance we tell her no. Preacher comes in April, gotta do what must be done. Their issue will be legal, and he'll sanctify their fun. Mountain country living is a world beyond compare. Life ain't always easy, but the joy outweighs the care. We trade our liquor for fiction. Took a lot to get the cow. We're shopping for a mule now. We love to find a plow. We wake up in the morning. The rooster says hello. Another magic day's awaiting. Nowhere else we'd care to go.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Great little tune, Steve. Your lyrics are always so great. All right. Okay, Steve, let me pass you over to Mike, and we'll learn a little bit more about you and your songs.
Well, Steve, here we all are again.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing okay. Good to see you.
Yeah.
I always like to, every 4 or 5 times that I interview, I always like to bring up the quote that I liked about you. Steve Andersen, he had a burgeoning career as a folk singer in the mid 1960s, abandoned in favor of family and a conventional lifestyle, but which he has subsequently resurrected in retirement. And so, first off, priorities, man. Come on, family, folk singing. Come on. What is a folk singer's lifestyle? What is it to you that makes you, in particular, a folk singer?
Um, I think when I was younger, I was doing covers. I was just out there banging away on the guitar, pretending I was, either Leadbelly or Pete Singer or somebody like that. And I was a mess. I didn't have anything to say. I was just, you know, okay, I confess, I was trying to get laid. But no, as I got older, I developed opinions and I kind of got myself sorted out and I was able to think about what I should say, if anything. I started writing poetry in this early part of this century, and then when I decided to get the old guitar out again, things all kind of came together. Uh, and I think if you're going to call yourself a folk singer, which I egotistically like to think of myself as, you need to have something to say about history, about life, about what's going on in the world. You need to have some relevance in what you're writing and what you're performing, and that's what I strive for. Uh, so I try to write things that will ring true to somebody somewhere, and if that happens, then my effort is worthwhile.
It's good. You also, I think, are self-styled as the elder singer, which I always took as not merely the fact that you're obviously at least 50, and I. But an elder in most cultures is a position of influence and responsibility, and I like the way you're talking about being a folk singer. That you're kind of living up to that notion of the elder singer having responsibility. So uh, I know from what you've talked about previously, something of people that you've named as your influences, as particularly as lyricists. Those people. But one of the things about Steve that you have to kind of hear him play more than just a couple of songs. You begin to be somewhat whelmed, if not necessarily overwhelmed, by his instrumental capacity. He is a very fine finger picker, and I wanted to ask you, who are your instrumental influences?
Well, to begin with, uh, this guy I went to college with, his name was Phil Buss, and uh, he was a serious finger picker, and he was a fan, as I became soon after listening to him, a fan of Dave Van Ronk and of I'm having senior moments now. Um, uh, yeah, who's the guy? Um, all right, I can't remember his name, but just folk singers of that era uh, that, that played fingerstyle, and I tried to absorb as much as I could have from them. Uh, John Hurt is the guy I can't remember.
Yeah,
Uh,
there you go.
yeah, I just absolutely loved his stuff, and I tried to develop that delicacy in various times. And there were others that well, okay, Leadbelly, on the 12 string, which is what I played back in the 60s more than anything else. And that's the guitar that I kept from, I bought it in 1963 and I'm still playing it. Although there was a 50-year hiatus there where I didn't. Uh, so yeah, I'm hard at coming up with names.
Yeah. Well, those are names particularly. I always think of. See, now I'm going to have my senior mom. Uh, the gentleman in San Francisco, blues player. Um, anyway, yeah, a lot of these finger styles. How about Paul Simon? You
Uh,
draw anything from him, or?
well, he's a very very sophisticated writer, and a marvelous performer, um, but he's kind of I don't know, he's operating at a different level that I'm at, uh, and I'm not placing him light years above me. I'm just saying it's different. Uh, and I don't I don't know that I am following his lead in any way.
Okay. How about if I were to mention Reverend Gary Davis? Have you heard him? And
Oh
he
yeah, Reverend Gary Davis. He does a lot of interesting and fantastic things, but he's a little bit chaotic, and he drives me nuts because I have this rock and roll sense of rhythm that he keeps deviating from. And he's a guy that you can learn from, but he's not a guy that I try to emulate. He's an amazing musician. That is absolutely for sure.
All right. So, what are you writing right now?
What am I writing right now? Okay, I started out trying to write. Uh, well, my grandmother made the best fudge in the world. I mean, there's just no getting around it. I've spent my life looking for an equivalent. Uh, And the funny part of the story is that my sister and I, after my grandmother died, spent, uh, well, years looking for her recipe. And my sister finally found the recipe for my grandmother's fudge. And as you might imagine, verbatim, it said, start with a sufficient amount of cream. So that's, anyway, grandmother's fudge will never be duplicated. But I thought I should write a song about grandmother's fudge. And it got off to a very good start and very slowly deteriorated into a dirty song about candy. Uh, there's a song about the candy man. Well, this is a song about candy. Anyway, um, I've been having a lot of fun with it. It's lyrically not a masterpiece, but what it is a wonderful exercise with short verses for having guitar embellishments in between each verse, and
All right.
that's a challenge for me. I'm trying to, learn my way around the fretboard. Something above and beyond just the kind of basic finger picking that I've done in the past. So it's been great fun, and I've been kind of stuck on it and got nothing else going except a follow up to the song which about the moonshiner, and
All
I
right.
have another song there that's coming along, but it's a 12-string piece, and I got my sore finger. I couldn't
Yeah.
stop doing it tonight. So anyway, it's
Too,
it
too
comes
bad
slow.
Grandma's not there. She could kiss it and make it better, and give you a piece of fudge for your pain.
Some people write songs with discipline. They say, "Oh, I'm going to write a new song every week," and that's just not me. I've got to trip over something that says, "You're going to write a song about this," and then I go to work on it, and maybe one time out of three or four, it turns into something that I can play.
All right. Well, Mr. Anderson, it's always a pleasure. I salute you. I hope your finger gets better, and hope to see you around here or at some of the open mics that we both frequent
Yeah, try to
sometime
get
soon
some.
again.
Okay,
All right. Thanks for coming, man.
yeah. Bye bye.
Rich, you got it.
All right. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, Steve. Quite the trooper. Even performs when he's injured. That is a true musician. A true musician. Well, hey, listen to this. Here we are, halfway through tonight's excellent show with four more really great performers coming in just a little bit. And so, oops, and somebody needs to be muted. Oh, Mike, let me mute you, my friend. Oh, you're muted. Thank you. And you're wondering, how can this show get any better? Well, I'm going to tell you. How about a chance for you to win one of the coolest new acoustic guitars around? Yep, that's right. I am talking about a Dandy hybrid guitar, which is designed and built by Capo Dave Williams, our Open Mic America's founder. So getting a chance to win one of these is really easy. Everyone connected with the Open Mic America show, whether you're a performer or one of the volunteer hosts, will get a ticket with their name on it dropped into the official fishbowl for a drawing held this coming December. That's right. All you have to do is either perform or be a host on one of the shows, and you could win your very own handcrafted Dandy hybrid guitar. And the more you perform or the more you host a show, the more chances you get, because you get a ticket for every time. Some of you have asked, why do you call it a hybrid? Well, imagine a good arch top guitar gets married to a Martin D28, and their offspring would sing like a Dandy guitar. So for more information on these very innovative guitars, check out the link at the bottom of the openmicamerica.com homepage and get yourself on one of our shows as a performer or join up as a volunteer, and you can win yourself one of these great guitars. So good luck. All right, we are now moving from Alameda, California, down we're going to go down the peninsula. And we are going to go to Saratoga, California, where, guess what? Our interviewer on tonight's show, Mike Simpson, is also a performer on tonight's show. And Mike, of course, performs here on Open Mic America. He also plays in South Bay folks' Mike Corona, which is an online open mic. He's a performer at the Second Saturday San Jose First Unitarian Church open mic. And occasionally you can catch him at the Poorhouse Bistro. So, Mike, take it away.
Well, all right. Thank you, Rich. Yeah, by the way, those Dandy guitars are something. They are good. I've been peripherally involved in watching those grow as Capo Dave has been going along, and he's got quite a deal going there. All right. One of the things about this that people don't always seem to realize is, if you want to play on this show and you're not a songwriter, how would you go about doing it? Well, as it happens, Capo Dave Williams, in his deep and well-established wisdom, has allowed a way in, and that is, if you have a song that was written before 1925, you can play it on Open Mic America. And I'm going to do that right now. This song was written in people claim to have written it in 1915, in 1911, 1910, and 1903. So I suspect it was probably written sometime before 1900, and since it's a blues tune, it probably went up the Mississippi, as they say those things do. And here we go. Nickel is a nickel, a dime is a dime. I need a new gal, hope the old one don't mind. Tell me how long do I have to wait? Can I get you now? In God we trust, you know, you say you want a man. I want to see that dollar first. Tell me how long do I have to wait? Can I get you now, Lord? Must I hesitate? Well, if that river was whiskey, I was a duck. You know, I'd swim to the bottom, Lord, and I'd never come up. Tell me how long do I have to wait? Can I get you now, or Lord, must I hesitate? There are rocks in the ocean, there are fish in the sea. You know, you mean the world to me, but just how long does I have to wait? Can I get you now, Lord, or must I hesitate? Got my hesitation stockings, wear my hesitation shoes, and Lord, don't you know I sure got them hesitating blues. Tell me how long do I have to wait? Oh, can I get you now, Lord? Oh, must I hesitate? Can I get you now, Lord? Must I hesitate?
Wow, that was awesome.
Well, thank you, thank you. And now, of course, the other thing you can play on Open Mic America is you can play songs you wrote yourself, as is the case with this one. This song is technically, because the word sermon means a warning, this song is a sermon to songwriters. My wife, very astute lady, once made a comment some years back. She was listening to some piece of pop music on the radio, and she turned to look at me. She says, "You know, I wonder how many people would be fooled into thinking that this could actually be done. Everything the person is promising in this love song. Have they never been in a relationship? You know, thinking that all of this is necessarily going to come true." And that was the slow and steady inspiration over years until a month or so, a couple months ago, I wrote this song. Well, I hear your lovely sentiments, so beautifully rhymed and so well meant, with a melody so sweet and strong. But can you live up to your love song? Can you live up to the words you sing? Can you keep all the pretty promises you bring? Can you live them down for a whole life long? Can you live up to your love song? Everybody likes to hear of a love for all time, outlasting every mountain in a joy sublime, happiness where nothing goes wrong. But can you live up to your love song? Oh, try as we might, the world steps in. Everybody slips, everybody sins. We hope to keep love perfect all along, but no one can live up to your love song. With all this said, it's still worth a try. Keep returning to your love till the day you die. Hold your heart out to whom you belong. Live up over and over to your love song. Live up each next moment to your love song. Or just keep living out to your love song. Live up to your song.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. Oh, Mike, I'm now going to send you over to Rich. Oh, that's me. To ask you a few questions. This is really good. You and I know. I just found out about this today, but this is really great because I have seen you perform before, but you and I seem to be hosting at the same time, doing different things, and so it's great. It's great to hear you play. So. First question. The first song you played was one of those, I don't know what you would call them, heritage song or whatever.
Yeah, heritage songs is what Dave calls them. Mhm.
Right. So I've often thought about that, but I never know where to look. So how did you pick that song to do? Or do you have a whole list of heritage songs in your notebook and say, hey, maybe I'm going to do this one?
Do I have a list of songs in a notebook? Well, it's actually on a computer. Yes, I have a considerable list of songs. And so there's a couple of ways that I find these things. One of them is to go through my songs and go, that sounds old. And then to put it in that little line where you can type things in, and then you hit enter, and then it gives you information, what they call them, the interwebs. Anyway, I just, I search online to stop being funny. I search online on the song, and I say Hesitation Blues date, and then Wikipedia or some similar thing will come up with the song and say, do you want lyrics, do you want chords? This song was written by by Rich Fassler in 1922, and then I go
Yeah,
bingo, there's a winner, and then
one
I
of my
put it
first
on the
songs.
list,
Yeah.
and then my next part of the process is can I play it? Can I do any kind of justice to it? Or a lot of the songs that I have played on here as heritage songs. I think I've played two or three that are Ella Fitzgerald tunes, and I really go through a certain amount of internal agony thinking about being a guy, a male, and secondly, I ain't got no voice like Ella's, but what can I do? Can I work it out? And that's part of the deal of being a performer is can you play songs that are done by people who are absolute towers and do enough justice to it that in combination with people's memory of how it was done before, maybe you can sell it, kind of thing. So that's part of the process. The other way is simply to go blues songs written before 1925. And if you enter that, you'll get there's one whole guy's page that is all that kind of stuff. Then it becomes a matter of looking and finding the lyrics and being careful to search on many songs in that period of time have what's called a verse, which is that thing that people like "Left My Heart in San Francisco" doesn't start out "I left my heart." It starts out "The loveliness of Paris is somehow said again." That's called a verse, and you need to look for that and do justice to the songwriter's original work on that kind of thing. But once you've got all that stuff together, there's a lot of songs out there that you can do.
Interesting. I'll try that. I used to play an open mic, during the pandemic, and there would be themes, and actually, the theme one week was murder ballad. I'd never heard of a murder ballad because I'm basically for a rock and roll guy, and yeah, I became familiar with the genre. There are a lot of murder ballads out there, so
Sure, Long Black Veil, Banks of the Ohio are some of the most famous ones that people
yeah,
know.
yeah. Okay, and so I noticed on you played that first one on a different guitar than you played your original.
Uh-huh.
What's the reason for that?
Back in 1925, the
Oh, somebody's
the might the Steve Andersen there.
yeah, I got
The,
him.
the mightiness of certain technical people who took the guitar and electrified it hadn't happened yet. So the reason for arch tops, and then also the reason for these guys, my grandpa called them dishpan guitars. You can see why.
Sure. Yeah.
They're loud. They're loud, and so they could play in an orchestra or in a big band setting, more with the arch tops, and they could be heard, if only faintly, behind the other instruments. Excuse me.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the reason for it. Now the reason that I play that one is because a number of people that Steve Andersen and I were discussing played resonator guitars. They're associated with Hawaiian music as well too, but a lot of blues players used them, at different times, and so I feel like the sound of them is fairly authentic to the feel of that. So I choose to play it on that guitar.
Gotcha. So the times I've seen you perform and certainly doing the interviewing stuff, you are a very technical guy. You go deep into instruments and songs and vocals and stuff. Did that? I mean, is that part of who you are, or did you? Once you learned an instrument, you kind of built all that up. I mean, the reason I ask is because, I'm a slacker. I learned guitar. I took lessons for about a year in high school, and then after that, it was rock and roll bands and stuff. And I'm not very deep when it comes into theory and stuff like that. But you seem to be, you find. I mean, did that come naturally to you, or was it something you worked up over the years?
Well, it depends on the element that you're talking about. What came natural to me was sitting on a porch playing a banjo, tuned to G, and I'd strum it, chink, 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 like that when I was like 3, And then later on, other music elements were introduced to me. I have to give enormous props to my parents for being encouraging and being willing, even when they didn't have much money, to spend it on getting me trained. So I have a fairly full-on classical background. My music degree is not in vocal or guitar; it's in composition and conducting, or what my actual degree is in. And so I've done that. So that means that I know a lot of theory. So I apply that to things, and I try to think about, well, what am I doing here? What am I doing when I songwrite? I write from a theoretical music theory basis very strongly, particularly when I'm writing stuff in the bossa nova jazz kind of end of the world. But other than that, a lot of it has to do with the influences that I can claim to not be someone who lists Bob Dylan among my influences, although I'm sure he did. I mean, I heard him, but I never liked him. So later on, I've come to like some of his songs. There are people on this show that I've heard do his songs where I just loved it, but he himself doesn't move me.
So who are your influences? This is good.
Paul Simon has to stand at the top of my influences. When I was, I don't know, not very old, probably 12, 13, maybe even earlier than that, my mother bought me this thick white book that has Paul Simon on the front playing a classical guitar, and up to that point, whatever record he had just completed, it had everything that he had ever written. Very badly notated. The melodies were notated, not always correctly. The chords were done by a piano player who had no idea about, and then they just plopped in the most stock chord positions, not what he was playing. So it helped me want to do the work, to be able to look at it and say, that is not what he's playing. Those are not the notes he's playing on the guitar. And then seeking out the notes on the guitar and finding a new way to play that chord. Well, not a new way, but new to me. That was what he was playing, that kind of thing. So he's the biggest influence. In terms of actual songwriting, he's a big influence, but he might be eclipsed for me by James Taylor in particular, Cozy Sheridan, particularly as an actual instructor, Carol McComb, also an instructor that I've had, Ed Johnson, a lot of people like that, people I met at music camps, those kind of people, and then the modern influences. Lately, I'm poking around the edges of a young woman's songs named Billie Eilish. Because I've become interested in her wordsmithing and her ability to smooth everything out so that words and music are one thing together, which is always something that I strive for, but don't often
I'm with
achieve.
you, man. She is.
Yeah.
fantastic.
Anyway, so.
All right. See, and so that's the difference between a slacker like me and someone who gets into like you. I mean, I when I was younger, I got the books with all the songs in it and stuff, and I just played the chords. I couldn't tell you whether the notes, the melody notes were right or wrong. Just strumming those chords, man, and that worked.
That works. That works, man.
Yeah,
I've heard your stuff. Your stuff is great.
Hey, thanks. And just finally, do you have any songs recorded or plans to publish any songs?
I have one record CD.
Uh-huh.
That I have. I often think about doing it, but it's expensive. Although it's less so now. And then I listen to what I record on the computer, and I listen to it and I go, yeah, no.
You don't have the right software, man. I'll talk to you
Well,
later.
yeah, and as you talk about being a slacker, I don't know anyone lazier about music than me, but I can play enough different kinds of instruments and enough actual different instruments that I could fill out everything I needed to perform along with my own stuff. But I just, frankly, I hate microphones. I just don't like sitting somewhere and being recorded. So if I have
Oh.
someone like Carol McComb, who produced my first and only, and probably only ever, album, it was great fun working with her. And yeah, it's
Okay. Yeah, I find it's a lot of work. Number one, but
yeah.
you can. But I also find you can do it at home in the privacy of your own room, and keep doing it until you get it right.
Yeah, so they say, but as I say, that doesn't. I'm not very facile with that. So
All right, all right. Well, hey, Mike, real pleasure. I could go on asking you some for a long time, but we've got a show to get
yes,
on. So
I'm sure I talked too long. Get
no,
on with
no,
it,
no, no,
man.
no. It was great. Okay, thank you very much, and I think we're going to see you next week. No, 2 weeks from now, you and I.
Yeah, I think we're back
Yeah,
together again.
co-hosting. All right. Well, hey, listen, we are going to stay in California, and we are going to go to Hayward, California, to hear Rebecca and Gary Parks. They play in open mics. They play the Bistro in Hayward, California. Let's see, there's a gig, I think, on October 28th. They're going to be at the Blue Rock Shoot Reunion. That's made up of a bunch of people who used to play in that open mic for something like 20 years. I think Mike was saying earlier that he founded that. You can find more of Rebecca's music at www.rebeccaparksmusic.com. And she is currently working on 3 albums, originals, covers, and solo guitar work. So, Rebecca and Gary Parks, you are on.
Hello. I wrote a song about the ups and downs, mostly downs, of work about 20 years ago, and I hadn't played it much recently, and then I went and retired. So I thought I would bring it back. She's mopping up this restaurant, she's cleaning up her life. She could have stayed home with her kids if she had stayed a wife. It seems before she earns each paycheck, it's already spent. She was getting by until the landlord raised the rent. For her, there's a snow glass ceiling. She stuck right to the floor. She can't say it's a living, 'cause working isn't working anymore. He's staring at the clock all day, perhaps he's just depressed. The end result's the same if he does a little or his best. Retirement, if it happens, is another 30 years, and $30,000 is the price to change careers. It seems that he's forgotten just what he's striving for. He can't say this is living, 'cause working isn't working anymore. Some cash to set aside, a chance to feel some pride, a job that's gonna last. Is that too much to ask? when I was new. We've been looking long and hard for someone just like you. I put in hours I didn't have to get my due reward. Then he said your job's duplicated, which we can't afford. He thanked me for my efforts, then showed me to the door. I can't say it's a living, 'cause working isn't working anymore. Somehow working isn't working anymore.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Thanks. That was an example of an attempt to write a country song. I'm really more folk than country, and I've got a little Broadway and other stuff mixed in there. And that song actually did kind of almost make it into Nashville. There was a publisher who was interested for a while and then said he wasn't. But I kept trying to write country songs, and it never quite fit. And then a publisher sat me down and said, "You're a good writer, but your songs are a little too San Francisco for the country market." And I thought, well, that's interesting. Maybe I'll write a song about that. So here's that little journey. I try to write a country song about a love that's going wrong. He won't respect her point of view. She feels her dreams are overdue. But there's enough to talk about that they just might work something out. They find the insights that they missed when they consult their therapist. San Francisco for Nashville, to West Coast for the traditional South, to San Francisco for Nashville. They all know each time I open my mouth, I'm not down home or working class. I have no twang or cowgirl sax. To San Francisco for Nashville, I'm too hippie geek to pass. I try to write a country song about a job that's going wrong. The hours and wages are unfair. The nasty boss just doesn't care. And so she leads a union strike, negotiates a good pay hike. The benefits are all done right. And there's a yoga class on site. To San Francisco for Nashville, to West Coast for the traditional South. To San Francisco for Nashville. They all know each time I open my mouth, I'm not down home or working class. I have no twang or cowgirl sass. To San Francisco for Nashville, I'm too hippie geek to pass. I think that I can't go astray with an inspiring call to pray. The words of Jesus ring so true, and I revere the Buddha too. To San Francisco for Nashville, West Coast for the traditional South. To San Francisco for Nashville. They all know each time I open my mouth, I'm not down home or working class. I have no twang or cowgirl sax. Nashville. I'm too hippie geek to pass to San Francisco or Nashville. I'm too hippie geek to pass.
Yeah.
Great tune. Great tune. All right, let me pass you over to Mike now. Get a little more information.
All right, there we go. Oh, Gary, how fortunate that you sat down next to her, because I'm going to begin this interview by asking you to give me a review of her songs.
Oh no.
A review of her songs.
Like a back of album cover or advertising type thing.
Oh, advertising. Wow. Okay. Rebecca Parks is a fresh approach songwriter and singer, blending disparate elements from folk, rock, Broadway, alternative acoustic singer-songwriter work, and influences from her entire lifetime of listening to music of multiple genres.
Okay.
You will love this recording.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, our next new reviewer and perhaps someday interviewer on Open Mic America, Mr. Gary Parks. By the way, to Gary and to others, if you go on the website, openmicamerica.com, you will find the means to volunteer to be one of the staff members. And depending on what floats your boat, you can do what Rich is doing today, which is what we call our host. What I'm doing today, which is kind of a weak version of some of our better interviewers. But anyway, we have lots of different interviewers. That seems to be the most popular thing to do. And the one that is often something that we need is what Ron is doing, which is the technical behind-the-scenes work. And I want to make sure that we thank Ron for what he's doing, because it's fairly tough. I took the training from Daphne, and you notice I don't do it. Anyway, enough said. Rebecca Parks, why do you describe your music as theatrical folk rock?
Well, I grew up listening to a lot of Broadway musicals, and although I don't write for the stage, or at least so far I haven't, people have said that they can hear that in my music. And I try to tell stories, and I try to kind of embody characters in my songs.
Yes.
And so
and again, as I talked about with an earlier person, it's clear to me that you have a handle on the character in your songwriting. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how do you build the characters? What happens?
Well, before I actually sit down to write the specifics, if I'm writing about a particular character, I try to really kind of imagine that character's whole life, or at least the situation that they've been in recently. For example, Working, it's actually got 3 characters in it. Mm-hmm. 3 people for 3 different reasons are very unhappy at work. Mm-hmm. And with each of them, I tried to imagine, how is it for somebody who is working at a janitor or at a restaurant, trying to be a single mom, trying to get over, maybe divorce and addiction, and just, this is making a fresh start, but she's barely scraping by. And then the second character, he maybe has a little bit better job, but he's bored out of his mind, and he just kind of watches the clock all day, bides his time. And part of it is that the people he's working for don't give him enough interesting things to do. So he's just kind of stagnant. And then, and he wants to get out, but he feels like he can't. And then the third person, things, they seem to be going swimmingly at first, and the company when they first brought him in, said, "Hey, we've been looking for somebody like you," and then they just lay him off, like, this really great job that he was having just went poof. And so, I kind of put myself in each of those situations before I actually wrote.
So you start with imagination. You move to applying the wisdom that how your life has gone, works on it, and then you end it with imagination again in terms of trying to find a resolution for that description in each one. That's very cool. That's
Yeah,
very
and each
good.
of the characters, I've either been that person or someone like that person, or I've known someone like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the that's a good for all us songwriters out here. That's technique wise, that's a good way to go because it imbues Rebecca's music with a familiarity. It has verisimilitude and it has a feel of commonality when you hear the stories that you've heard from others or you've been through yourself. That's a great thing, and that is very appropriately labeled both the work of the theater and the work of the folk musician. That's very cool. How about things like um, I did influences last time. Let's see. I'll
I can tell you.
okay. How do you do the melodies and the chords and all the music part of it, the non-lyrical part of it? How does that generate for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, people ask my primary influences. Lyrically, it would be Joni Mitchell, and you could go on forever about her. But musically, I think my favorite writer is Neil Finn, and he
Uh-huh.
has this talent for writing these incredibly singable melodies over these really complex chords. And the songs kind of sneak up on you. At first, they're just really pleasant on the ear, and then you listen a little deeper and you go, wow, he's just incredibly clever with that. But it's not just kind of engaging your brain kind of clever. His songs are also very moving.
Yeah. Well, Neil Finn is a wonder. To anybody out there who doesn't recognize the name, he's a singer, a songwriter, and an instrumentalist for a band called Crowded House. That's himself, his brother, and some other people. And he has a great album that is just he and his brother together. That's very good. Yeah, yeah. I can hear him dragging you along there. Yeah, that's very
Yeah,
good.
I mean, I try to put in some interesting chords here and there. In fact, with To San Francisco for Nashville, what I tried to do was in the verses where I'm talking about, how I'm trying to write the country song and it kind of goes on okay for a while and then kind of goes off the rails. I try to use just really straightforward, plain chords, the one, the four, the five. And then in the chorus, where I'm to San Francisco for Nashville, I do all sorts of weird stuff.
Yeah, I heard the extensions in there. That was good. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
All
I
right.
it's in A, and I use an F major seven in there, so it's really
Nothing
odd.
wrong with that. All right. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Thank you very much, Gary. And I know you enjoy being put on the spot, else I wouldn't have done it to you. Um, uh,
No
I
pressure.
and I thank you for that. And hope to see you guys back here sometime soon. And I'm going to hand it over to Rich.
All right. Very good. Very interesting. We are now, speaking about country, we are now going over to Nashville, Tennessee. That is correct. We're going to hear Michael and Nell. Michael and Nell will perform their Joe Hill Roadshow at the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga on September 21st and at the Woody Guthrie Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma on April in 2025. They'll also be performing a number of online events in the coming months, and you can get more info on that at www.michaelandnell.com. So, guys, take it away.
All right, are we on? We are
Yes, you
on.
are.
Okay, we are not muted.
I just want to say I totally related to that last song that she did. I've lived in Nashville since 1989, and I am from San Francisco. Okay, I am a native San Franciscan, born and raised in San Francisco.
Yeah,
So how did I ever end up in Nashville? That's a good question. Well, we can talk about that
Your
later.
problem, yeah, we'll talk about it later. What your problem is with publishers. All right. Let me start with a song that Nell wrote, and you want to say anything about this?
When I write songs for women a lot of times, and I'm very, very conscious about not writing victim songs for women. None of the women in my song are victims. I figure there's enough of those out there, so I try to write something that's a little more powerful. And this is called Halfway House, and it goes like this. Here you are, all messed up at my door. The same old hurry. Let me start that again. I got that all screwed up. Hold, one more time. Here we go. Here you are, all messed up at my door. The same old hungry hurt look in your eyes. How many times have we been down this road before? No, there ain't no way you could stay late for the night. Oh, I don't want you jacking in and out of my life. My heart is not a halfway house. Oh, don't come around with love lets you down, and then when you're strong, the other on my heart is not.
So that is Nell's song that she wrote, and we're gonna do a little tune that I wrote about a guy that most of us have seen. Everybody has seen this guy, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. I'm not going to tell you who he is.
How's it start?
Hold it.
Whoops.
Oops. A little melodic correction there, and
All right.
get the necessary cheat sheet just in case. I stand on this sidewalk with my cardboard sign, while most of the people just hurry on by. I'll walk to the shelter for something to eat, and these old worn out clothes and old shoes on my feet. Homeless and nameless, they don't know me from all of the others they don't wanna see. They can drive home and listen to the 5 o'clock news, never thinking that they'll ever walk in my shoes. But I could be your brother, I could be your son. You know this can happen to most anyone. Had good luck and out on the street, hoping one day you'll be back on your feet. Once I had a good job on the production line. I paid all my bills, mostly on time. But they laid us all off, shut the plant down, and sent all our jobs to some foreign town. But I could be your brother, your father, or a son. These days it can happen to most anyone. When that factory closed and they moved it away, rent and the bills, well, I just could not pay. Could have gone some other way. But ain't no use crying about yesterday. I could learn from the pain and turn to the booze, but I still got my pride and what's left of my shoes. So I'll stand on this corner with my cardboard sign, while most of the people just walk right on by, not saying a word or looking my way, till the cops come along and they chase me away. Your mother or father, your daughter or son, these days it can happen to most anyone. So please try to be kind if we happen to meet. Pray that one day I'll be back on my feet. Nice clothes on my back, brand new shoes on my feet. That's a walking on shoes.
Yeah. Very nice. Michael and Nell. Very nice. Okay, let me pass you over to Mike Simpson for a little interview.
All right.
And
I
now
love it. I love it when we get our duets here. Always great to. How long have you guys been playing together?
Oh, let's see, since
You're in your 30s now. Did you start young? Or?
Yeah, right.
2008 maybe?
Something like that, yeah. I used to play fiddle with, different people and, stuff like that, and I was in several bands, and then finally we started our own band,
Well,
the Shelby Bottom String Band.
Yeah, let's get into how that happened, because it didn't just boom, it didn't just click automatically. See, somebody has mentioned before you might play fingerstyle guitar, which is all I ever did for a long time. I came to Nashville. I was finger picking, and so I never had any reason to not do that. And then it came to Nashville, and the whole songwriting thing was, boom chicka boom, and I was not, in line with that. It was okay because I could just, But then Nell wrote a song about mountaintop removal called "Don't Blow Up the Mountain," and they recorded it with her and a banjo player and a female singer. They did a little trio thing, and then they decided to make a video of it and make it into a bigger production. And
Which got 11,000 hits on YouTube, by the way. That video.
Long story short, they were looking for who can sing lead? They wanted to put together a band, and they said, well, who can we get to sing lead? And somebody said, well, how about Michael? It just hadn't really occurred to us to play music together, because I was off of my solo thing, she was in her bluegrass thing, and so that's where it started. I started singing in this band, and then we went to a SPIGMA convention, the Society for the
Preservation
of Bluegrass.
We call it Prevention of Bluegrass Music.
And I picked up a sample of Martin 1mm flat pick, and the doggone thing, I played with it and it didn't slip out of my hands. I could never do a flat pick because it always fell out of my fingers. I couldn't do it, but this one didn't, and I really started learning how to do that, and I'm still learning. And long story short, that was a long story, wasn't it?
So
It was.
yeah, that's I guess that's when we started doing these band things together, and that band lasted actually about how many years?
7, 8 years.
That's a long time in Nashville, for a band to stick together.
A long time anywhere. So, when I looked at your YouTube offerings on there, I was caught by a phrase that you used, music for a better world.
Mm-hmm.
And I would be interested in having you each give me a specific thing that you do as songwriters to implement that notion in the songs that you write. Music for a better world.
Well, we see Jason all the time on People's Music Network, which is a gathering every month of people who write socially conscious music, and we, write socially conscious music, and I think you can get away with that in the folk world. You can't really get away with it in the country music world in Nashville because it's so conservative, It's all this rah-rah America stuff, but, we're in the folk world, so hey, we can say what we really think, about what's going on.
Yeah, we'd probably say it regardless,
Right. So we
Uh.
started this series of concerts called Music for a Better World, and so we try to get songwriters who are writing that kind of stuff, and highlight them.
Yeah, just because of, I don't know who we are, we're active in the political activist realm, and the song, not all the songs, but a lot of the songs that we write, they just kind of fall into that realm because that's who we are, and that's what we think about, and that's what comes out. Like the song that I just sang, it's about a homeless guy. I don't know very many songs about homeless guys, but there you go.
Well, another song we wrote called "A Welcome Home" is all about affordable housing. I actually ran a nonprofit here, progressive nonprofit in Tennessee. Let me tell you, it's really a challenge. And that song won an award for Songs for Social Change in the year 2021. And it's all about, and another song I wrote called Displacement Blues. The Tennessean, our newspaper, said it's Nashville's latest social justice anthem. You know, so, I mean, housing has gotten ridiculously expensive here. You know, it wasn't like this when we moved here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we came from California and was like, wow, this is great. You know, well, it's not like that anymore. It's really expensive.
Yeah, we're not at a loss for material these days.
And I should mention, is also a member of Veterans for Peace.
That's true.
It's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I was in Vietnam for a while, and fortunately, I got out. You know.
Good man. Glad to hear it. So, it's always you know, a theme or a meme almost across all of our players in this bunch of people, that an awful lot of us write about social justice. So as you write more songs about social justice, will you make sure to bring them back to us and come on the show again?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Love
We've
to
got
hear
a social show.
Yeah, we had a whole bunch of songs like that we could do.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much. Great to have you, and
Thanks for
sometime
having
again.
us.
Thank you.
We hope
Rich,
to.
you got it.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Okay, we are now going to move on. We're going heading up north to Auburn, Maine, and we're going to hear Jennifer McQuade. And you can catch Jennifer at Catbird Cafe in, I can't say this word, is it Weymouth, Massachusetts? And you can also get more information about what she's doing and her music at reverbnation.com/Jen, Jen, McQuade. So, Jennifer, you're on.
Thank you so much, Rich. What a show tonight. I mean, just unbelievable talent as always, I guess, you know. Anyways, I'm going to do a song here. Just last year or so, I was watching a documentary on the Titanic, and I'm sure, you know, there's got to be over 100 of these documentaries or whatever. But anyways, I got into the program, and then shortly thereafter, I came up with this song. So this is called "A Faithful Night." Do you remember that fateful night? A once mighty ship sailing through the moonlight. No one had a care about the calm before the storm about to unfold. Music in the dark, an iceberg in the cold. Too late to see, the band played on. Despite their fear, they hid the truth, the panic in the air. A gash opened up on the starboard side. Got nowhere to run, got nowhere to hide. No one heard the alarm, no one knew the ship was going down. They did not heed the warning, no one heard a sound. Oh no, the band played on. Despite their fear, they hid the truth, the panic in the air. Is that time upon us now? seems all hope is lost in a shroud. Oh no. 100 years gone by, and what have we learned? Do we heed the warning or watch it all burn? Is it too late to change our fate, like that once mighty ship who lost their way? That fateful night, the band played on. Despite their fear, they hid the truth, the panic in the air. Oh no.
Very cool.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, I know there's an unbelievable heat wave going across the country. So I don't know who started this tradition. I don't know whether it's good or bad or not. But a lot of people celebrate Christmas in July. So I thought I'd just do a Christmas song. Might be able to cool you down a little bit. Interesting story about this song. I was actually practicing one night, and oh God, I was having a tough time in one song. And then all of a sudden, these chords just popped into my head. And I think I wrote this song in about 15 minutes. I said, you got to be kidding me, struggling with the rest of them. But anyways, it's called Hey Santa. Hey Santa, would you let me up on the roof with you? I wanna take a ride with you and Rudolph too. We'll fly through the sky so way up high. We might just catch a star riding on by on our way to Christmas Town, where there's lots of smiles all around. Welcome to Christmas Town this year. Hey Santa, would you let me meet the elves? Woo. I wanna watch them make their toys and put them on the shelves for you to pick and choose which ones will go to all the girls and boys that you know on our way to Christmas Town, where there's lots of smiles all around. Welcome to Christmas Town this year. I see the snow falling down as I feel the joy all around. I hope there's snow for Santa tonight. Hey Santa, would you let me up on the roof with you? wanna take a ride with you, and Rudolph too. We'll fly through the sky so way up high. We might just catch a star riding on by on our way to Christmas Town, where there's lots of smiles all around. Welcome to Christmas Town this year. Oh, thank you so
Alrighty.
What a
much.
cool tune. What a great tune. Love the chords. All right, Jennifer, let me pass you over to Mike.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, Jennifer. Well, if you're going to get grabbed by some chords, those were some good ones.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, that's nice. So I'm gonna start off here. Go right straight to the notes that I made, and
Oh, no,
yeah,
not the notes.
the notes. Oh yes, you know I do.
I
some
didn't
research.
study.
Yeah, you don't need to study. I study for you. So I talked to Glenn Merel a bit about the use of the 12 string
Right.
as a primary tool, and so and I'm going to ask you the same thing again. Like Glenn, you have a tendency instrumentally and vocally, you write kind of forceful songs. You write stuff that really jumps forward. So how does the 12 string affect your writing? How does the 12 string drive what you do?
Well, I mean, again, I think, as I said in a past show, I just fell in love with it early, and it's really just the fullness of the chords. Going back to Rich's interview, I'm a slacker too. So Rich, don't feel bad, okay? But basically, when I was younger, I really wanted to sing, but I had nothing to say. But all I wanted to do was learn the chords. And so in order for me to hear those chords, that's why I fell in love with that 12 string, because the chords are just so full. And
Yeah.
and of course through the years, I hopefully have gotten a little bit better at it, that I've experimented with a lot of things, drop tunings and capo here, there, everywhere. So I never know where the heck I am, but I'm just looking for those chords.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
And yeah, to the point that you just brought up there, one of the things I've also noticed is you do a good job of selecting other tunings, that kind and you use the little partial chords, where you're only playing two or three, well, in your case, 4 or 6, strings, and you get
I'm
that.
taking the easy way out. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's not so an easy way out. It's a very legitimate guitar technique.
Yeah.
Can you think of any people that you heard playing the 12 string from back in the day or right through now that have inspired or influenced you?
I know someone came over my house at a very young age with a guitar, and I believe it was a 6 string, but again, I fell in love with it. And when I went to actually select a guitar, I bought the 6 string. So it wasn't really till a little while after that that I picked up the 12 string. But of course, there have been, quite a few songs through the years. Of course, I grew up on the Beatles and just loved their harmonies and their chord structures. But as far as 12-string guitar, I mean, I think, once I heard Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here, oh God, there's just so many songs that I've heard on the 12-string, and I'm like, I got to do that. Yeah, that's my main instrument.
Yeah.
Uh,
So are you familiar with a guy named Kotke, Leo Kotke? Do you know
the,
him?
the
Oh, good. I'm
names,
opening a wider world to you.
yeah, oh,
K
you
O
are, this whole
K O T
program.
T Kottke, Leo Kotke. He is one of the. He had an album called 6 and 12 string guitar. He's an instrumental player for the most part. but he does do some accompaniment work with 12 string, particularly his version of 8 Miles High.
Okay,
Is worth hearing, and you can get that on YouTube. Anyway, so I'm really digging what you're doing, and it's been now. I've probably seen you 5 or 6 times on this show, and I have to say, in this slightly insider-outsider position that I have as the interviewer, I have to say I'm seeing growth in what you do on the instrument and in songwriting too. But you've had a good handle on your lyrics, and you know what you're doing with that stuff before. But your guitar work is getting better and better, and so it's great to hear you.
Got a long way to go. Hopefully,
Well,
when I grow
don't
up.
we all? Yeah.
But no, thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, it's great to see you. We will, I know, see you again. And I see a fan going. And what's your temperatures up there in Maine?
Oh no, actually, I'm down in Massachusetts right now. I'm just taking care of my mom. So,
okay.
I mean, at this point, I miss Maine. It probably would be a few degrees cooler, but no, I'm in Massachusetts right now.
All right. Well, stay cool. Come back. We'll see you again then, and I'm going to hand it over to Rich now.
Okay. Thanks so much, Mike.
Sure.
All right, well, here we are at the end of another fantastic show on Open Mic America. I'd like to thank our performers quickly, one by one, and feel free to wave to everyone when I call your name. Glenn Merel, Dave Fiebert, Jason Baker, Steve Andersen, Mike Simpson, Rebecca Parks, Michael and Nell, and Jennifer McQuade. And remember to check our website, openmicamerica.com, for links to the music of all OMA performers and to find archives of all of our shows. I also want to thank Mike Simpson, tonight's interviewing host. Another great job, Mike. And Ron Smith, tonight's engineer. Without Ron working the controls, we wouldn't be here. And I'd like to thank our audience on YouTube, the ones who watched us live and also the ones who will continue to watch us on replays. If you like this show, listen, if you like this show, spread the word. Please don't keep it a secret. You can even download and print your own posters from our website. You can hang them around town, somewhere where folks can see them and hopefully check us out. And that way we can get some new performers. Also, let me mention, because I get throughout the show, I get texts from people who want to know where to get this great T-shirt, your very own. You can get your very own openmicamerica.com T-shirt. You can get that through our website. There's a little thing you can click down, and you can design your own T-shirt. You can make the logo big, small, whatever, up to you. So please check out your local and virtual open mics. We've listed the ones where our performers play under the local open mics tab on our website. And finally, we are here the first and third Sundays of every month. So our next show will be Sunday, July 21st, same time, same station. Stay tuned for the next full lineup of performers. So I am going to ask everyone to make sure you're muted and wave. And I am going to say good night, America.
If you meet me at the corner of Russell and Albina, just about a block from Mississippi Avenue, I'll take you to a house where they hang carpets on the wall. And if we go there on a Sunday, there's a song I'll take you through.